Welcome everybody to Tip of the Spear Veterans Roundtable. How is everybody doing? Mr. Travis, let's start off with you, sir. How are you?
I'm savage.
Savage. You got the spirit of Chesty just floating around you right now.
I feel him coming around me, David. It's getting close to that time where I will break into song for no reason at all. But you know what that song is because
Yes,
it's
sir.
yours and my birthday.
Yes,
Same day.
sir. We'll have to sing it probably before the end of the night.
Done.
Awesome. Miss Carol Lee, how are you, my dear?
Hello, hello. I am doing excellent. I cannot complain.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Miss Lauren Burns, how are you, my dear?
I'm fantastic. We're getting closer to Friday.
Yeah, it is getting closer to Friday. Luckily, I've been off for a little over a week. Not luckily, but I'm off. So every day's a Friday right now. So, Miss Megan, how are you, my dear?
I'm wonderful. It's Wednesday, so that means it's Wine Wednesday. So I'm ready.
Hey,
It's
whatever
only 4
floats
o'clock
your
here on the
boat.
West Coast, so I still got a little bit more time.
There you go. Mr. Rich LaMonica, how are you, sir?
Doing good. It's almost my favorite holiday tomorrow. I'm scared to crap at little kids and give them candy.
Nice, nice. Mr. Mark Peterson, how are you, my friend?
Living the dream. Thanks for having us. Patriot Pride.
Patriot
Hell
Pride.
yeah. Hell yeah. So, guys, some of you I've talked to, some of you haven't. I haven't talked to, but I recently just had a complete total knee replacement at the Louisville VA. And I will tell you, my doctor that I had, Dr. Klein, he was amazing. He told me everything that I needed to expect. We got in there at 0930, and I think I was in the recovery room by 1400, I think. Maybe 1500, but spent the night in the hospital and got to come home the next day. So I'm doing okay. Can't be happier because now I'm going to be able to walk without uh, being in pain in my right knee, even though my left knee is still going to be bothering me until I get that replaced. But Halloween is coming up around the corner, which is tomorrow, and then we got two major holidays coming up. Marine Corps birthday, November 10th, and then Veterans Day on the 11th. So what do we get? What's going on in your little corner of the world at the present moment in time, Mr. Travis, or anybody who wants to take it off?
Well, I'll take it first. I usually go last, but I'll take it first this time. I want to start with saying, Lauren, my leg is feeling better. How about that?
That's awesome. Did you get the stretcher? Are you sleeping in that at night, the splint?
Well, I'm not as good as that, but I got something rigged up where it takes the pressure off, and now a month later, what a difference! This is
Good.
amazing. Who would have known? Just a random combo with Travis come in would have resulted in that, and that's just the tip of the spear. See how I did that with the depth of our conversation. So thank you. Well, it's just my favorite time of year has kind of become like Veterans Week instead of Veterans Day. I'm hoping to make it like Veterans Month. Lots of good stuff going on, and I think it's cool that you can see all the other veterans coming together in forums like this and other places to do cool and amazing stuff. And there's no clique here. There's no like in group. We cover a variety of different demographics and needs and wants and everything. And it's just like we're doing it. When people talk about, well, can veterans come together? Well, this is it. We're doing it, and it's just really a great time to be in this forum. So I'm having a great time.
Awesome. Miss Carol Lee, what do you got going on in your little corner of the world down there?
Well, I was going to, for Veterans Day weekend, I was going to go to North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains for Mind Overland's second annual gathering. However, that has been postponed due to Hurricane Helene. And so we're not sure when that's going to happen. But tomorrow on Halloween, I was invited to go and have breakfast about 2 hours away. So I took the day off for tomorrow. Have breakfast with about 35, 36 veterans tomorrow morning.
Nice.
So I could not pass that up.
Heck
So I'm
yeah.
really excited about that. Several of them are Vietnam veterans. And then I think most are probably in that era. So really
Nice.
excited to hear the stories and get to meet some new veterans.
Heck yeah. I love it. Now, the next guest that I'm getting ready to ask what's going on in her little corner of the world. If you watched Homefront Sit Rep, you've already seen her podcast. Miss Lauren Burns, at the age of 7, in 1987, it was 1987, right?
Yep, you got it.
In 1987, was kidnapped by her dad, and was taken abroad back to Jordan, which her dad was a Jordanian citizen. Her mother was from here in the United States. And the State Department, U.S. government said there wasn't nothing they could do to help bring Lauren back to the States. So Lauren's mother, with the help of Miranda Lambert's parents, before Miranda Lambert was Miranda Lambert,
Mhm.
got her in touch with some veterans that went overseas to Jordan, rescued Miss Lauren, took her through Israel, and brought her back to the United States. And amazing story. They actually made a movie back in 1993. It was released, called the Kathy Mahone, or Desperate Rescue, the Kathy Mahone story. So if you want to go watch it, you can watch it on YouTube and stuff like that. But amazing story. And Lauren now hosts a podcast called Redeemed. So before I ask you what's going on in your little world, tell us a little bit more about you that I didn't go into detail with, just so our people that, because this is the first time you've been on the show,
Sure.
the people that are out there watching can understand a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, actually, the reunion, no, I'm sorry, not the reunion, but the anniversary of my kidnapping is tomorrow. It was Halloween weekend when my dad took me. So, and it's sort of appropriate that my podcast is called Redeemed because now, all these years later, Halloween was a horrible memory for me. My mom and I would stay in the house and watch movies and pretend like Halloween wasn't happening because it was really bad memories of what my dad did. And we had to change my last name and live in hiding for years. And it was a bad time of my life, but God redeems all things. And so through that healing journey of overcoming the fears and the wounds that my dad caused, being able to forgive my father, now I have 2 boys, a 12-year-old and 14-year-old, and I have a husband. And guess what? I get to go trick-or-treating with my own family. So it's my redemption story. I get to go enjoy Halloween now. But yeah, I live in Texas. I'm a physical therapist. And so I'm impressed with you sitting here a week out. No wonder you were off all week with a knee replacement. I
Yeah.
hope you're doing your heel slides and your quad sets and all the things.
I am. I've
Good job.
had in-home PT 3 days so far. But I'm not pushing too hard, but I am pushing just because I'm an active guy and I got to stay
Yeah.
active, and laying up on the couch is just not me. I mean, put it this way, I'm not using a walker, and I had to climb down 25 steps. So I do have my cane here next to me,
Good.
my old man cane, and I'm using my rail to climb down the steps just so I keep my balance and stuff like that. So I came down with a bad knee bad knee or new knee, and then I'm going to go up with my good one just so I can keep myself balanced and stuff like that, and not push myself too much.
Well, I'm impressed. Good job.
Well, thank you. So yeah, welcome. I'm so glad that you got to come here and hang out with us here on Tip of the Spear. This is something that we've started a while back, over 18 plus months ago. It started out with just five different veteran podcasts, and it's grown into a remarkable thing. And I love meeting new people that we can bring into the fold that has a different perspective than everybody else, because we know everybody has their own perspective, but when you bring outsiders in, like, that are non-veteran, they have a little bit of a different take on things. So thank
Well,
you for
I'm
coming.
honored. Thanks for letting me be here because if it wasn't for the veterans that said yes to my mom, saying yes to me, I wouldn't be here. I
Mm.
don't think I would. I don't know what my life would look like. I'd probably have an arranged marriage if we're being real honest. I wouldn't have the freedoms I have. I don't know if I would be a Christian. I mean, I can't imagine what my life would look like. Sorry, I get emotional because
No.
veterans said yes and they risked their lives and they left their families and their children to go to Jordan to save me. So it is beyond an honor to be here with you guys to tell you about them and to tell you thank you for all that you guys have done for me.
Well, you know, I think if we were in the same boat as those guys back in 1987, I think we would have done the same thing. It's just something that we do as veterans.
Mhm.
And you know, those guys. And speaking of those guys, you just recently, after 31 years, had a
Wow.
reunion with those guys for the first time ever.
Yeah, I did. We
How
went to North
was
Carolina, went to Fayetteville, and if it wasn't for me saying yes to doing this my own podcast, I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I don't know how y'all feel, but starting a podcast, you may have been like, "What am I doing? I've lost my mind." But I really felt like God was sort of telling me, "Lauren, get out there and tell your story." And I was like, "Okay, God, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to be obedient." And I never would have imagined being able to reconnect with the men that rescued me. And when I say that to people, sometimes they're like, "What do you mean this is the first time you ever talked to them and saw them?" Well, if you've been through some scary stuff and some hard stuff and trauma, like big trauma, you don't want to go visit your past. You
Mm,
want to just keep moving forward. Um, and I'm going to say that's why my mom never reached out. You know, we were living in hiding for so many years. We were moving on with our lives. But going back now and saying thank you to Don and Dave and JD and Jim and getting to see them in person was amazing. And
mm,
hugging them and showing them pictures of my family. It's just amazing to see
mm.
them and to tell them thank you.
No, I love it. I love it. So, Miss Megan, what do you have going on this holiday weekend?
Gotta find that darn mute button to mute myself. So this weekend, actually, one of the nonprofits in Orange County called Veteran Strong USA. It's an equine therapy nonprofit. They are doing a ride to end and barbecue to end veteran suicide, and so I will be there on Saturday participating in that. So I'm really excited to be able to support Ted Fuentes and Veteran Strong and all the other veteran nonprofits that are going to be there. So all the services are free to veterans and their families that for the equine therapy or equine assisted therapy that they do. So that's
Heck
what I'll be
yeah.
doing on
Heck
Saturday.
yeah.
And football on Sunday.
Heck yeah. Mr. Rich, what do you got going on this weekend?
Well, this weekend I'll be driving up to West by God, Virginia to pick up my wife's high school car, 67 Volkswagen Beetle that's been sitting up there since 2013 in an overhang. Going to pick it up and trailer it back to Tennessee and rebuild it.
Nice, nice. Now you got your week of valor coming up for the Misfit Nation coming up. Any exciting guests for the week of valor?
Start off on Sunday the 10th with Rob Diedrich. There's a Navy guy, actually. He's enlisted in 99 out of Los Angeles, served close to 21 years in the Navy, so he'll be on the first show. And then the second night is I have two people on the 11th, Tom Equus and John Winky, two Marines. They're coming on. I'll have 6:30 and 7 for them to take care of them. Then on the 12th, we have Kiara Locks. She's a bodybuilder now, and she was a pilot in the army, I believe. Yeah, army pilot. And then we'll finish it off on the 13th. We have Thomas Wilkins, another veteran. He's a very shy guy. So I have a lot to say, but he has a good story. He's going to share with us. And then on the 14th is Benjamin Lee, another army veteran. And then on Saturday before that, I'm going to a veterans home and recording a bunch of the old Vietnam guys as they're going to come out in their uniforms and let me record them, learn some of their history, and I'll put them on as snippets throughout the week.
No, I love that. No, that's awesome, bro. You get to go to a veterans home and get to hear stories from, the older generation, especially Vietnam vets, because they're dying away like our World War II veterans and stuff are. So there's not many left. So no, I love that, man. That's super cool. Mr. Mark, what do you got coming up this week?
This week, well, again, every Sunday at 1800 Central Standard Time, we throw up our, we got your 6 at 6 this week. We got Michael Burrows, retired colonel from the Army, coming on and share his stuff. And then we also got Dave Bray this weekend. Excited to have Dave and Michael. We've had them on before, but it's time to cycle through the pieces. Always looking for that special guest and the ones that are sending the message and getting the message out there for our veterans and first responders as far as support and resources.
Heck yeah.
Andrea's kicking it real hard. We are also the local coordinators for the Fort Snelling Reads Across America. So we're kicking that off and lots of stuff doing that. We never have enough wreaths going into it. We need 200,000 wreaths. Last year we had 50,000 wreaths. Looking to keep going and get it. We need to cover that grave or the entire cemetery.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see how my partnership with Wreath Across America Radio is going to blossom. I need to get with Jeffrey Price and work out some more details. Of course, we're already live on the Wreath Across America Radio, but I also want to get there and partner with with doing these wreaths and stuff like that. So super cool. So yeah, we've at Homefront Sit Rep, we've got quite a bit of things coming up here shortly. Of course, the holiday tomorrow with my kids are old enough, so we'll probably be here handing out candy for the little ones that are coming through the Minnesota Black Robe. What's going on, Black Robe Regiment? How are you? So we got that coming up for the holidays, and then we roll into some cool things coming up leading up to Veterans Day on November the 11th. So we got our third annual veteran and first responder suicide awareness concert. We have 12 hours of music. We have food trucks, vendors. 100% of the profits will be going to Camp Hero, Kentucky this year. Oh, it's TC. All right, I got you from TC from Vet Nation. Welcome, sir. So yeah, we got that coming up, and then I had a phone call with retired Colonel Lou Seelig, Seelig. He's doing a dissertation on transitioning service members. He's looking for veterans, 10 to 15 veterans that have been out 5 to 10 years. Because he wants to do a dissertation and see how their transition went and what's needed, what's not needed. So if you've only been out a few years and you would like to be interviewed by Colonel Seelig, let me know. Shoot me an email at homefrontsitrep@gmail. Shoot me a text message if you have my phone number. I'd love to get you in contact with him. He'll actually be on our show on November the 4th, talking about what he's looking for. I figured I'd go ahead and get him out there now early. And that way we can help him do his dissertation. So I'm super excited about that. And, just the connections, seeing all these different, we got our Veterans Day parade coming up, and we're working on next year, we're working on a Vietnam Veterans Day parade just for Vietnam veterans next year in the city of Shepherdsville. So we're working on that. Working on getting the global war on terrorism remembrance wall, I believe is what it's called. So it just focuses on things that happened after Vietnam, the global war on terrorism. So trying to get that into my city as well. And then next year we'll have the Vietnam traveling wall come back next year as well. So a lot of super cool things coming down the pipe, and I'm excited to be just a small part of that. So yeah, super cool. So anybody want to talk about any hotspot things that are going on within their veteran community right now or military community? Anybody want to take the lead?
Well, this is going to. I mean, not it's not intended. This is not a political statement, but I think it's important and critical that we get a movement of everyone, as many as possible, friends and family, fellow veterans, fellow patriots, fellow Americans. You have a job to do this next week. 1 week from this week, one day, we all have a job, and that is to get out and make sure we go vote. I'm not saying vote a side. I'm not saying vote a person. I'm saying just go vote. Get your people out, make a difference. It's critical and crucial this year in a lot of ways. If we're this close, then it's just that important, because one side's got to be on top of the other side. It's the way it is. But we got to make a difference in this country and community. And we got to stop the division, man. We got to figure out a way to reach across the aisle. Let's stand in the middle for a minute and make sure that we're reaching out to our brothers and sisters on both sides.
No, I love that. And you are right.
Man.
We do need to get out there and vote.
And you need to start voting in all the elections, not just the presidential elections. The elections that matter are the ones that are in your hometown. If we don't clean up our houses and our hometowns, 1600 doesn't matter to much of our lives. What happens up there is just a circus. It's a minstrel show up there. What happens in your neighborhood, in your community, that's what matters. That's where we need to vote every election.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would agree.
All politics is local, and it's a right we all who served fought for, and that the people who didn't serve in this forum, enjoy and get to change things. So I don't like hearing, well, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter. Yeah, it absolutely does matter.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely does matter. People bled and died for you to be able to have that right. So,
Amen.
Great reminder, Mark.
Yeah, definitely a great reminder. And it does, like Rich and them are saying, it starts out at the local level. I mean, it gets started in your city with your city council, your mayor, and then from there it goes into your districts for your state senate and stuff like that, and then your governor, and then goes into your national level. So you definitely want to vote for anything that's there. And like Tab says, research your local leaders, not just the federal races. Because you want to research and you want to see what their stance is on this, and their stance, because I'm down the middle. I might vote Republican. I might vote Democrat. I don't know. I do my research and I see what they stand for when it comes to certain things that are hot topics for me. So,
yeah, I voted early, and we only have been here now about 3 months. So it was a lot of research because I didn't know about any of the political leaders here in this city. So,
yeah. So, Rich, any good Army news, anything that's gone on within the Army in the last month or so since the last time we spoke?
It's been a couple months since I've been training a lot of Joes and Josephines to go do God's work overseas, and of course in North Carolina and East Tennessee. But a lot of the guys and gals that went to East Tennessee and North Carolina came back this week, and they're doing great. Tab just said we're getting some crazy new PT gear again. It's always good to make soldiers spend money that they don't really have on gear you don't need when you have something that works. But that's a talking point for the young Joes and Josephines that are out there right now doing God's work that I'm not doing anymore. I get to watch them and listen to them complain when they come to my classes. But I mean, just this week, I've trained about over 1,700 soldiers to go do things, and I'm gearing up to go on a road trip here right after Veterans Day to do the same thing.
Heck yeah. So I sent that thing in the tip of the spear. Navy Reserve officer sentenced to prison over Afghan visa scheme. So it says a Navy Reserve commander who was convicted by a federal court for his role in a years-long scheme to falsify visa documents for Afghans has been sentenced to more than 2 years in prison. And it says Commander Pittman, 53 of Pensacola, was sentenced to 30 months in prison for accepting bribe payments from Afghan nationals in exchange for drafting, submitting, and verifying fraudulent letters of recommendation for Afghan nationals who were applying for special immigrant visas or SIVs with the State Department. So basically, he was falsifying documents to help Afghan nationals to come to America, which is kind of crazy.
He threw away a career for it, so he
Yeah.
must have thought it was good in his mind, I guess, or the money was that good that he was getting to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can look at it as maybe these were Afghan nationals that possibly helped us during the war there, and they were trying to find a way here, but he went about it the wrong way. I mean, any way you look at it, he went about it the wrong way. Either way you look at it, but yeah, I don't know. Without knowing more of the details, it's kind of hard to speculate on. I just thought it was one of those touchy subjects. You know what I'm saying? Travis, you're biting your tongue up there.
I just want to poke the bear a little bit. I mean, it's kind of, I get that he broke the law. I get that he broke the rules, but we have thousands of people crossing the southern border every day. I mean, when I was stationed in Yuma, we'd be out in the desert doing our thing with our missiles, and we'd see a bunch of them coming across the border. We had to call the Border Patrol to go get them. And those coyotes never gotten. I mean, you're gonna bust this guy, but we have you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have a sieve of people coming across the border, and we're gonna throw the book at this one guy. I'm not saying what he did was right, please, but it's kind of hard for me to get like worked up over it when we have much bigger problems. I'm just saying.
And he was probably caught because he didn't take money from one person and they told on him. And that's the only reason they even looked at it, probably. Otherwise, he probably would never even been looked at.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Let's see. So what about this?
I wonder what would happen. And then I wonder what would have happened if he hadn't taken any money and just got these people in. I wonder how many he would have got in before the gig was up. And then what do you do?
Right.
You have other people coming in this country illegally, no problem. They get put up, and I don't know about you guys' states, but in the Commonwealth of Mass, you come across the border, you get housing, a cell phone, and food voucher, and medical. I can tell you, veterans, in my own personal experience, I've got to prove that I'm an American, served, honorable discharge, the whole 9 yards before the VA will even touch me. These people go right to the front of the line. I mean, it's just, there's a little bit of irony in there that I'm trying to unpack, and with a little bit of humor.
Yes.
Is it humorous? Is it humorous? Because I think we force ourselves to laugh at this because it ends up being.
It's not funny.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's there are so many things where we watch in the news and watch in space and watch live that has a complete double standard, and you sit there and you're like, I don't even know where the lines are drawn anymore.
Yes.
That's
And
what I'm saying.
People are forced to take chances. Now, no one's forcing you to take that chance, but people are forced to take chances to make a difference. And again, this guy's in it for something else other than just maybe doing the right thing. Is it the right thing? I'm not here to argue that or not. But we've got. I'm going to change the subject a little bit if I can to kind of illustrate my piece. And we've got some people that have been living the rock star lifestyle for everyone. Everyone has known what the rock star lifestyle is. It is the women or the guys. It is the drugs. It's the alcohol. It's this and that. But now we're just deciding to pick on a couple and do that. We had a pop star, amazing musician who it's bona fide been proven that he has been with children, and we listen to his music on the radio every single day. There's a car company using his music on the radio or on the TV every single day, and I hear, and it's annoying. I literally turn it off. I change the station, and where do we draw the line? Where I don't get it anymore. Where's our standards?
Yeah.
And then who gets to take it? I mean, there's so many things I'd like to talk about sometimes because they need to be talked about, but we're also kind of bound as a nonprofit. And again, I want to make sure I'm reaching out.
Come on, Mark, live dangerously. Come on, just
Yeah.
put it out there.
Just that toe over the edge. Just right over the edge.
You know, we'll sit down at the Bold Patriot, which doesn't exist anymore, but we'll sit down at the Bold Patriot and talk all day about it. But I just, in a live forum,
I'll bring
because of the
cigars.
job I have, I can't do it.
I know. I'll bring the cigars. That's my promise.
Perfect.
So Tab said about the sergeant major that was busted down. So I put the link out in chat there. It says senior enlisted Marine reduced to sergeant for wearing unauthorized awards.
There's another one. David, there's another one. So Chris Kyle, it's a proven fact that Chris Kyle wore and awarded himself medals that the Navy did not give him. Not a peep. This guy, did the same thing. Busted down to sergeant from sergeant major. I mean, to Mark's point, like, where's the freaking line? What's the standard anymore? I mean, I'm not saying what this guy did was right. It was wrong. But he got busted down to sergeant after 20 plus years in the Marine Corps?
I mean,
to be fair, Chris Kyle's dead already, so it's hard for him to fight for himself. This guy's still alive.
Yeah, but to be busted from sergeant major to sergeant, I mean, that's
think
a lot of rank.
That's what he pleaded to. I think there was other things he did, and that's what they got him for in the court martial.
Let's see. So a senior enlisted Marine was busted down to sergeant last month after he wore military decorations, including the Purple Heart and the combat action ribbon that he was not authorized to wear, according to a charge sheet obtained by military.com. Per a plea agreement, then Sergeant Major Charlie Clausen was reduced in rank after a September 13th court martial found him in violation of 9 specifications of wearing awards or devices that he did not earn. And then his charges also included providing a false statement and engaging in conduct that is, it's just, yeah.
It said he gave himself a doctorate from Liberty University too.
Yeah, that is crazy.
They list all of the awards, the ribbons and insignias and decorations in there as well, that he was wearing that were not authorized. And there's a lot.
Yes.
So here's one that I'm going to throw out there. Nice panel. Hey, what's up, ITT? How are you? ITT says nice panel. That's one of yours, right, Carol Lee? ITT?
It is. Howdy, Ivan. Thanks for popping in.
So this one headline is Marine veteran connected to neo-Nazi power grid attack plot sentenced to 7 years in prison. That was the headline. So this here says a former Marine was sentenced to 7 years in prison on Monday for manufacturing a short barrel rifle, a ruling tied to his participation in a neo-Nazi plot to attack energy facilities in and around Idaho, the Justice Department said in a news release. Jordan Duncan, 29, and formerly assigned to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, was the final member of a 5-man group sentenced in connection with the scheme. Three of those members sentenced to prison time, including Duncan, are former Marines.
That really puts a bad name on Marines.
Yeah, it doesn't shine too good for us. That's so. Miss Megan, you been awful quiet. You got any good stories down there?
Stories?
Yeah,
No,
any
biggest
kind of
stories.
headline?
I,
Kind of headline?
I mean, the biggest thing here, it's not really veteran related. I mean, it has affected the veteran community. I don't know if anyone heard about the Board of Supervisors, Andrew Doe in Orange County, who recently pled guilty to federal charges. He diverted funds basically to his own nonprofit. So that his 20-year-old or 19-year-old daughter was a president of. So that came down last week. And so he actually had didn't approve certain funding for veteran programs within Orange County. So we're really happy to see that, you know, he's gone bye-bye. So we'll see if he actually serves any time. I would say that's like the biggest, juiciest news, you know, in our neck of the woods in Orange County, that will hopefully help veteran service providers here. Also, as the vice chair of the Orange County Veterans and Military Families Collaborative, we met with one of the Board of Supervisors last week to hopefully help we have the largest senior adult veteran population in Orange County. And so we're trying to help with veterans who have that need assisted living, that are potentially being forced out of their homes because they cannot afford the assisted living. And so we're really trying to work with a pilot program within the county here to get more than just one assisted living facility to be a part of the approved VA housing sites. So that's kind of what
Nice.
we've been working on here. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yes.
All right, Travis, you got any good headlines?
Well, I wanted to ask everybody's view on the situation with Delta Airlines and that Marine veteran. We got some women in here, and Carolee's close to this by virtue of her son serving. The Marine veteran who got kicked off the Delta Air flight for wearing that Till Valhalla Project shirt. And the interesting thing is, I've had multiple people tell me in their minds if this was all fake or staged. And I didn't know what to think of that because, you know, I reached out to Delta. They told me what was going on. Till Valhalla has not gotten back to me yet, but I'm like, they don't just remove you off an aircraft for nothing.
They don't. However, if they don't understand the message, then that's what it was about. So the understanding when I first read that article had to do with the fact that it was pertaining to stopping suicide. Okay. Specifically, that had a message about that. But it wasn't just Till Valhalla. There was something else that was on it. And the stewardess felt that it wasn't appropriate. Now, I went through and I kind of read through some of the airlines' rights that they can, you know, if they see something, you know, that is kind of a toss up, they can ask you to change. So it was one of those, you know, I don't agree with that. And I did also read that Delta had been in contact with that veteran after the fact and was making it right to some extent. Don't know what that meant. Don't know. But that's what it was about. Was her shirt was basically to put out there, you know, the need to stop veteran suicide.
Well, Delta did tell me that the matter was resolved satisfactorily to the veteran, Catherine Burns, but they didn't go into details what had happened. So it said, the shirt says, "Do not give in to the war within."
That's what it was.
End of veteran suicide. And I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to understand what about that phrase was considered offensive or inappropriate that would warrant being removed from an aircraft.
I think it was strictly the fact that that phrase of "don't give in to the war within." I think people thought that was more like a political thing versus because they obviously don't know the meaning of what it was. I mean, that was pretty evident when I read that article to begin with. They just were not up to speed on that. And so they took it upon themselves to say that's not appropriate. It has the word war on it. You need to get out, kind of a thing.
So here's the follow up to that, right? On one hand, I hear a lot of times, well, we don't need to talk about 22 a day anymore. Everybody knows about it. But what you're saying there is people still don't know about it because it's not been talked about enough, is what it seems like.
I think it's a combination of the fact that one, it's not been talked enough about, but two, I think the fact that it said war on it, and that stewardess or however, whatever they are called nowadays, they didn't understand the meaning of the whole sentence, right? I mean, we talk about 22 a day. That's kind of, the terminology that we use. But to talk about, not giving into the war within, people don't understand what that means. And they think it's something either terroristic or political, something along those lines.
I think it was taken as in the season we're in right now, I can see it being taken political based on the picture of the person who told her to get off the plane.
Right.
And not being stereotypical, but if you look at the picture, and that's where I think that focus came from. I think it's a political stance, not an anti-veteran stance.
Yeah. I never thought it was an anti-veteran stance. I think it was just some ignorance, I think, on the part of that stewardess. And as you even said, Travis, Delta has made it right to the satisfaction of that veteran, which I was happy to hear.
Yeah, I've heard the story. Was this a decision made by one person?
I think so.
That's what I understood from Delta. One person made the man is a male flight attendant. He removed her, made the call, and made it stick.
That's all it takes on the plane anymore.
And all of us are giving her the. Go ahead.
And I was going to say on flights nowadays, all it takes is one of the flight attendants to say something to the captain, and if you don't leave the plane, then that's when they get security involved, and it's a big hoopla. It literally, you can have a shirt on there, and it could offend somebody, and somebody says something to the flight attendant, and you don't change your shirt or whatever, then they can kick you off the plane for whatever.
Was Catherine offered the opportunity to change her shirt?
I believe so.
Well, and I believe what happened was she didn't have another shirt to put on over it or replace it with. That was a problem. She didn't have, her luggage was already in the aircraft, and they weren't going to deplane her bag to get another shirt out. And so he's like, "You're off the flight."
And they considered it a threatening shirt, is what she was quoted as saying. So she's a Marine veteran, and she said she'd been removed from the Delta flight, forced to change over the threatening shirt, took her soul away, which I understand, right? And she, she's 22-year veteran.
So the solution to this actually falls on the line. Now you understand that Delta's done something post-activity to fix the problem, but the real solution is if they're going to stand with a policy of this nature, then they need to have a shirt viable and ready for anyone that is wearing a shirt that they are deeming offensive or not part of their. They need to have a shirt and hand it to them and say, "Hey, you know what? You don't have a shirt. Here you go. Will you wear this?" Now, I also know that a bunch of our vets are going to stand on the premises saying, "You know what? I'm not going to change my shirt," and I can see that happening too. But that's a different conversation. That we're in a different space at that point. But this lies 100% on Delta. They're representative of Delta. I'm not. I don't think Delta's done enough, and I don't know what they've done, to be honest with you.
Well, it was really interesting, man, because a lot of people were canceling their flight stuff they had with Delta, and selling their. People got upset about this, and that's where Delta's like, "Hey, we fixed it." But I agree with you, Mike. Not Mike, Mark. I mean,
you called me Mike for a long time, buddy. It's all good.
Well, I was doing good tonight. I was doing good, and then I stood all up.
But so I was kind of reading back the article, and it said she was on her way to go see her Marine sister, and she explained to this flight attendant, she was on her way to see her Marine sister. She's a Marine veteran for 22 years, worked in the Air Force. And the response was, I don't care about your service, and I don't care about her service. Now, and this is the thing that really bothered me. It wasn't so much the fact that, they asked her about the shirt. It was the complete attitude. And it says, the only way you're going to get back on the plane is if you take it off right now.
So this is a different conversation.
And she says she was braless under that shirt. So what are you going to do if your luggage is, in the cargo?
Take it off and just go off.
Make that decision right there.
Right? All righty. You asked for it. You asked for it.
Do they still offer free blankets? I mean, I'm sure they would.
They don't offer anything anymore. Do they?
Nothing's free.
Yeah. Nothing's
Very
free.
good at cooking now.
Right. Right.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
So let's change up a little bit here. Army Navy football.
Heck yeah.
Unfortunately,
Go Army.
Navy lost to Notre Dame.
Right.
But Army is still undefeated, so I'm going to have to pull for the Army, even though it hurts my soul to say that, to stay undefeated. I'd like to see Army go undefeated for the rest of the season and possibly get a playoff bid. That would be super cool. I don't know if they can do that or not, but I think that'd be super cool. Because I know they're coming up Air Force.
They play Air Force. They play Air Force this week, and they've already changed the saying in Air Force's stadium to Chair Force. Cadets went in there and changed it to say Chair Force. They will beat Air Force this week. Next week they got next week or the week after they got Notre Dame. They'll find a crushing blow to Notre Dame as well. So it'll be a 1-loss Army versus 1-loss Navy, probably in their conference championship, and then a week later in the Army Navy game.
Nice.
So what I'm a Marine, but the song is Army Mule. You can buck and you can brave, but football you cannot play. So I guess they can play football now. We need a new song for them.
And they both can throw this year. It's kind of strange.
Really?
Hey, Lauren, check out the private chat up there.
Simmer down.
What does my hat say? Redeemed.
Oh, duh.
You can't read it? Is it a bad font?
No, I think I'm going blind.
There was also a female soldier that went missing last week at Fort Leonard Wood, and she was found dead in a dumpster on Fort Leonard Wood. It's another case of, they believe, domestic. They have a suspect or a person of interest in custody at Fort Leonard Wood being questioned now.
So I've been doing a lot on TikTok here recently because I'm trying to build Home Front Sit Rep on TikTok, and I've been getting into a lot of these veteran chat groups that are on there and active duty, because there's a shit ton of active duty personnel that's on TikTok.
Yes.
What is going on with the uptick in active duty service members succumbing to their demons? What are some factors that possibly is leading into that?
It's probably some of the same stuff that leads to veteran suicide. Still losing a sense of purpose as serving. They joined and maybe something happened in service or something happened before service, and they're not able to find that way to keep the light on, and they wind up in the darkness. They're also doing it via adrenaline. We have motorcycle deaths here at Fort Campbell. Basically, at least once a week, a soldier dies in a motorcycle wreck, which is basically adrenaline fueled. So there's a lot of factors that are involved, but I think they all wind up being the same things that's happening to our veteran community as well.
And I think too, I can't speak for anything other than the Marine Corps with my youngest Marine veteran, but when they get done with boot camp and then they go into holding, waiting to go through the training and everything else, sometimes they're sitting there for a month before they even get to do anything. So there's like they're just up in their own heads, and they're all fighting with each other. People are stealing their crap here and there, and it's just a free for all while they're sitting there and waiting to continue on with their training and be assigned to fleet. So I know that is really difficult for those newly minted Marines who are waiting. I've heard it from so many of them, especially when my son was sitting there. Like, you could hear them all in the background. Now they get to be treated as adults, and they just become absolute fools because there's nobody telling them what to do other than fire watch, so.
Okay.
I don't know about when your sons were in, Carol Lee, but when I was in, they had these things called working parties.
Yes.
That guaranteed to wear you out. Like when you were done with the working party, there was no party afterwards. You went home with bed. Filling 200 sandbags a day would do that to you. I'm just saying. Idle hands are devil.
They are sitting there. I remember hearing people screaming and yelling in the background when I was talking to my son, just when he was sitting and holding, before he even went to medical. And I'm like, what are they screaming about? He goes, oh, they're playing Xbox. I kid you not. This is no joke.
Get out.
These kids aren't doing anything different than the kids that are at college. They're just a bunch of people in a space.
I was going to say, or in the basement somewhere.
I mean, my kids are yelling on their Xbox.
They just don't have any adult supervision in the space. I mean, we pretend in our colleges and we pretend in our spaces that there's authorities and people in space, that you get these guys in their billets and their barracks by themselves, and it's a dumb contest. And you know what? Those that have served, we've all been there. We've all done that. It didn't matter how much work we did. I don't know.
I think a lot of them
at the end of the day,
and they don't have it nowadays, and so they're sitting there forced to come up with things to do because they can only leave on the weekends, and they have to still stay on base, and constant accountability. So many of them, when they get to that stage, if they've got to sit there without going right back into training, they're losing their minds. I am not even joking. They are absolutely saying, Mom, they're calling their parents saying, I want out.
Well, it was really funny. I forget.
They don't have the resources to entertain themselves.
They also don't have NCOs in the barracks anymore. So NCOs aren't overlooking people because that's not nice. You can't go check on them, check on their welfare. You can't yell at a soldier anymore. So they're going to do even dumber stuff now. They're going to parachute off the top of barracks with no one watching it. So it's crazy.
Well, was it 8-9 years ago they did the numbers, and actually troops had less mishaps, fatalities, and more cycle wrecks? I'll get in a second. When they were deployed overseas versus in garrison, like being in garrison for the average service member, regardless of branch, was actually more dangerous than being deployed, because they were actually having to do their job. And to your point, Carol Lee, be on point. And I joined the Marine Corps from Barksdale, from Shreveport Bossier, where the Barksdale Air Force Base is, and the base commander almost got his way where he banned motorcycles outright. Too many airmen were killing themselves on it in Shreveport, and he's like, I've had enough. And he found out he couldn't ban. You can't tell a 21-year-old man he can't have a vehicle. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Tell you whatever. So there's some truth to what you're saying. Absolutely.
Well, this is another example of young men growing up in the military. They all of a sudden now can get a loan for anything. And they're making young people decisions because it's cool, fun, and exciting, and that it puts them in danger.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, that's part of why so many you end up with the legal holds and the mental holds, because they'll do whatever they have to do to get out because they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And that just causes that additional demons, as Willis calls it.
Definitely demons. So there's a guy in chat right now, Mr. Aaron Leach. I met him last night, I believe it was, or maybe the night before. Um, he does a light show. It's kind of like uh, Christmas lights, laser lights. They do a movie. It's up in show Showwater, Arizona, maybe somewhere up there. Ryan, I just sent that to you, Ryan. I think I sent it to the right person. Yeah, it was last night. Um, and so he wants to talk about it. I'm gonna reach out to him, have him on my show. But it's called Magic on the Mountain, is what it's called. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. So it's synchronized Christmas light show in Arizona. So it's Showwater, Arizona. It's called Magic on the Mountain. I just wanted to give him a shout out because he was in chat and he's wanting to jump on here, and I didn't want him to think I was overlooking him. But yeah, Ryan, I just sent you that link. But no, I saw something else that I wanted to bring up, but I can't get the full story. So this is it's military.com. It says Congress as top honor for Navy pilot who was second longest ever U.S. military POW. This is efforts to award Congress's highest honor to a Navy pilot who was the second longest held prisoner of war in U.S. military history, are working their way through the legislative process. Lawmakers are working to award the Congressional Gold Medal to retired Commander Everett Alvarez Jr., who spent 8.5 years in captivity after being shot down during a bombing mission during Vietnam. What do you guys think about that?
Everett Alvarez, by the way, was the one that connected me with the men in CTU that did my rescue mission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Alvarez is the one that connected you?
Everett Alvarez, yeah, he was I believe the second longest held POW.
Yeah.
He knew Al Zapanta. Al Zapanta was the foreman on the grand jury, when my mom went to ask for a warrant to be put for my father's arrest. Totally God connecting all the puzzle pieces, because we were in Dallas, Texas. Everett Alvarez was in Washington, D.C. But that's how I got connected with Don and JD and Dave from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Wow.
That is that is crazy. And I just happened to see that story. So that is crazy.
I did have a question for Morgan.
Miss Megan?
I'm going blind. I thought that said Morgan.
It's okay. Morgan,
No, I'm
Megan,
serious.
you just gotta check
No.
out a couple things. You're okay. I've
Redeemed
been called
Mike.
worse. It's okay. Don't worry.
Jeez.
Yes.
So
Shoot, what's your
how
question?
many problems?
Mute your mic real quick, Megan, while he's asking the question.
I'll get something right tonight. So when you're dealing with older veterans in Orange County, how big a problem is it that people are trying to take their benefits or, rip them off and like home repairs and stuff like that? And how closely do you have to watch that? Because to me, that's one of the most despicable things you can do to another American is take a veteran's money who served our country.
Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, we talked about that at the CalVet conference. So California Veteran Affairs Conference that was earlier this month down in San Diego. And so the Veteran Affairs, the benefits, they actually have been talking about how they're actually going after them, but they really can't do much about it. But in California, it's pretty regulated, and there's a pretty good policing system with that. I know that it does happen quite a bit, and that's where Veterans Legal Institute, which is our local one of our local nonprofits, they actually will go after individuals that have been identified by the veterans, and most of them are I think now there's not as much shame in knowing that someone is going, someone is trying to kind of abuse them in a way and take advantage of them, that there's not that much stigma around it. So I think older veterans are starting to get pissed about it, which is good, and do something about it. So I would say it's not as common as it used to be.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Lauren, just real quick, if I may. So you've experienced us. You're right in the lake of fire, so to speak, out of the frying pan. What do you think about all this tonight? Look at those
I'm
eyes get
learning.
big.
Well, no, I'm learning so much. The whole story about the person on the plane as a civilian, I wouldn't have been offended. I wouldn't have even understood really what the messaging was. And I still don't quite understand how they actually kicked her off the plane. Because there's a lot of people wearing offensive stuff that I can understand. You know what I mean? But this has been fantastic. And I'm learning a lot just listening to you guys.
Well, we definitely thank you for coming on here. I think you said you have to be leaving here shortly too. So definitely thank you for coming on here. And I can't wait to keep connecting with you and see how your podcast journey is growing, because you are
Thank you.
relatively new to the podcasting side of things. And I'm super excited to see how your journey is going to go. And anybody on this panel, if we can help you in any way, we will.
Thank you so much.
So you feel free to reach out anytime. I think I have I think I'm gonna be. I don't know. I think I'm supposed to be on your podcast. I can't remember. I don't remember.
I'll go back and look through. Hey, there's so many things going nonstop. I'll go back and look through the calendars. But yes, and I've already written everybody's contact information down. And so thank you for including me in your group. It's huge to be a part of.
Well, we love having you in here, and your story is amazing. And I think your story needs to be out there more, just because it's the unseen heroes
Yeah.
that rescued you, and people don't get to see that. They see the negative side of things, but they don't get to see the good things that we as veterans do most of the time. So I think your story needs to be out there, and of course they
Well,
did
and
make
like we
a movie.
we talked about too. I mean, it gave, like y'all were talking about, giving people a purpose when you get out in the community, and they put the company CTU together to have a purpose and to continue the work that they've done, and it gave them community as well. And like y'all were talking about earlier, these guys that are sitting around bored is what it sounds like. They've lost their purpose. So they're on video games, or they're doing all the other things with all their energy. We all need a purpose, right?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
for
For sure.
Well, thank you guys.
It was
Lauren-
great meeting you, Lauren. My contact information's out there. Feel free to reach out.
It's
I
in the
will. Thank you.
private chat there if you want to grab it before you jump out.
I will right now.
And if you need anybody's phone number, just reach out to me. You got mine. I can get you in contact with them. So
Perfect. Thank
we
you.
will make it happen, Miss Lauren. Thank you. Take care of those little ones.
I will. Good night, guys.
Good
you, Lauren.
night.
Let's see. All right.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, Theory? How are you,
Hey,
sir?
hey.
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Hey, Dave, we got like a real bona fide artist here. We're
Right?
gonna have to break into the Marine Corps hymn.
I know. I know. We're gonna have to. The Marine Corps birthday's in a few days.
Oh, great. Mark, are you Marine
No.
Corps?
A little over a week.
Yeah. Mark is
Wah,
not.
wah. Wah, wah.
I had to ask because there's 3 of them right there. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
no,
still
Mark,
can't match the mighty army.
boy. I love you, Mark, but boy.
you should look. Travis has this face that's just like.
Oh man. Carol Lee,
Yeah.
how are your kids doing?
Well, I think overall, I think they're doing good. The oldest veteran Marine is focusing on school. So which is good. And then they're expecting, it's supposed to be sometime in December, a grandson for us. And then, but I think probably in the next 2-3 weeks, we might see him. And then youngest Marine veteran is trying to ride on the wild side. And so he bought himself a motorcycle. That's, every mother's dream, right?
I can tell you, Carol Lee, mine was not happy. I'm not about you, but mine was not happy.
Oh no, one of the gals I work with, she's 70 years old, and she keeps watching movies and finding ways that means that I can use to disable his motor. She's like, oh, put some salt in this gas tank, right? She's just,
oh my God, don't do that.
Yeah, like she's
Ruin it.
right. No, but she's like trying to help. But and then he's just
I can't help myself tonight. So
he
you
just
don't
started.
like the motorcycle, right?
I do not. It's not that I don't like the motorcycle, but when he first got it, he'd never ridden a motorcycle. He did not have his motorcycle license. He did not have the motorcycle training course. He moved it. He was all excited because he got it home. A friend had to drive it home. And he wanted to just go around the gravel driveway, which goes around the house. And he got about 15 feet and the whole bike and him went, right? So, yeah.
Great start.
So you're not for that. Are you for him getting married though?
Yes, but it must be approved.
But so you don't get trained when you get married. You don't. And marriage has a 50% failure rate in this country.
However, he has his mother and his father to use as an example of how to do it right.
So, but I've given my sons a positive example of how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, well, he's not had that. So he had better luck with a marriage than a motorcycle.
All right. Just.
But no. In all fairness, he's learning. He's going a little farther every time he rides.
What kind of bike did you get?
A Honda something, and it's like 400 and something cc's.
All right, not big. That's
No,
good.
but they initially weren't even going to insure it because he was under 21 at the time that he bought it. And apparently they considered it a high whatever motorcycle. I don't know.
High risk.
Yeah.
Probably crotch rocket.
No, it's not. It's not. Not what we from our generation would consider a crotch rocket, and then he just started and joined MMA. So, and he came home the day before yesterday. So today's Wednesday. So he came home Monday night and said he got punched in the face. I said, oh, somebody punched you in the face? He goes, no. And I said, well, then how'd you get punched in the face? He goes, I punched myself.
Another good start.
Yeah, another good start.
Right? I mean, I guess it's all a learning. But today he finally decided he needed to go get himself a cup. So,
Probably a good idea.
I think so. Yeah. So he wants to
MMA is a
get
good thing though. It's a good way to teach discipline and self-control.
It really is. He wants to get into more martial arts, but he needs to build up that stamina and not just strength. And so that's what he's working on right now with that. And why he hasn't just gone right into the martial arts.
Well, the coaches and the instructors at the gyms for the MMA gyms, they usually work you out too. So, they'll get him built up on his stamina and get him physically fit enough to start actually learning some stuff and getting more into the hand-to-hand stuff.
Oh yeah. And I'm happy for him. He's getting into things that he's not had an opportunity to do before. He's been he's gone to a chiropractor where think of it like, what is it with the needles? Acupuncture, but longer needles and right into the nerves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't have the balls to do that.
For his trigeminal neuralgia. for that issue that he has, the trigeminal neuralgia and that
Yeah.
neuropathy. And he said that one that went in, he said he about soiled himself. It was so bad. And then he like couldn't stand up, and they had to get a cool compress and all this stuff, afraid he was just going to pass out from it. But he said it did take his pain from like a 6, 7 down to like a 3 or a 4. So, that is great, but he's not thinking he wants to do that again.
No.
You wouldn't got me to do it the first time.
No.
Yeah,
Same.
no. The minute I see one of those gigantic needles, I'm going to be like,
Out.
all right, I'm out.
Out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but outside of that, I mean, they're doing okay. Got the youngest one who's not military, and he's looking for work and etc. So got some things happening, and just settling into the new place.
Awesome.
Very
So
nice.
how long has the Space Force been a thing?
Well, that was when Trump was in office the first time. So
I think if my memory serves me right, I think it's 2017.
you think that's here? I'll Google.
I think.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because there's a on military.com. It says Peterson Space Force Base dining hall closed indefinitely after significant safety incident.
December 20th,
What kind of
2019.
2019. Oh, wow, I was a little off.
Let's see. Guardians and airmen stationed at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado have been without an on-base dining hall facility for months after it was closed this summer due to a safety issue, according to an internal memo. The Aragon, that's a hell of a name, Aragon dining facility located on Colorado Springs base has been closed, marked as uncontrolled, marked as controlled unclassified information. What the hell?
What does that?
What does that even mean?
I don't know what that means.
There's a safety issue. Maybe it's like a food safety issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it says significant safety incident.
That's like either like a refrigerator down or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Well,
they're going to close.
He said they're closing it
permanently?
indefinitely. Maybe
Yeah.
That's enough information or lack of information. They shouldn't
Yeah.
say anything.
I think that sounds to me more like a food safety incident that happened that made them close that dining facility down, because I can't think of anything else to close a whole military base's chow hall.
Well, and
Yeah,
it does
I can't-
say that it's determined to close the facility temporarily to ensure the safety and well-being of all personnel and patrons. So I don't know, could be something, pertaining to the facility itself. If you've
Irvin
got
McDonald,
mold.
quarter pounders.
Yeah, no telling. No telling.
Who knows?
So, Theory, you wasn't on at the beginning of the show. How's things in your little corner of the world, not too far from me?
It's good. I got that really great news yesterday that my disability was increased from 40 to 80% finally.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been years and years. I've been trying since 2017 with 4 different appeals. So this fourth one took 10 months to do. But I mean, it's done. I had been checking it fairly often after my last doctor's appointment. I waited about a month, and then I saw, on the VA app on my phone, I saw that, step 1 of 8, step 2 of 8, and then I got to step 3, and I was in step 3 for like 4 months for evidence gathering and evidence review. And then step 4, I was in for another like 2 months. And then I went to step 5 and it said decision. So I was like, oh, cool. So every once in a while I was checking it, every few days just to see if there was any headway. And then yesterday I just bought Call of Duty Black Ops 6 for PS5, and me and my buddy were taking turns on multiplayer. So while he was playing a match, I was just, scrolling around on my phone, and I decided to open it. I actually opened it on accident. I meant to open a different app, and I hit that, and my Face ID logged me in, and it said 80%. And I was like, ah! And I went crazy and freaked out my friend a little bit. But it was good, man. I was very, very happy. So they're gonna backdate my pay. It's a difference of $1,300 a month.
Wow.
From what I was getting. So I go from $899 to $2,283.01. So very, very excited about that. And they're going to backdate it to February 1st.
Nice.
Wow.
So I called the VA because the decision letter that I saw on the app was predated. Well, no, I'm sorry. It was post-dated. I think that's the way I would use it, for October 30th, even though it was October 29th. I got to download the digital copy of my decision letter, and it was going out today. So it was dated for today. And it said, if any payment is due, which I'm assuming is my back pay, you'll receive it within 7 to 10 days of the date of this letter. So I was like, okay, so I'm confused because on the other part of the app, it said you'll start receiving your payments, your updated payments December 1st. So I was like, okay, so I was confused. So I called the VA and I talked to a lady, and surprisingly, I got on pretty quick, which never happens. And she told me that the back pay is completely different from my monthly compensation. She's like, it's not going to come as one big deposit. You're just going to get your disability on the 1st of December with your updated amounts. And then the 7 to 10 day thing is for your back pay. And she told me what amount I was getting. And I'm very, 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 very excited.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a nice chunk of change. It's going to turn a lot of things around for the family. We're going to get a nice little savings account built up with that and kind of really, change the trajectory of our goals. So I'm very excited to start that process and get going. And we didn't even waste any time. We put a budget together already. Because I'm still getting my GI Bill money every month too. So and it's crazy because now I'm making more with just my disability than I was making with my disability and my GI Bill combined. So I was
that's
ecstatic,
awesome,
dude. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm just working on music and putting together shows. I'm excited. I'm making my set list for the November 9th show, right?
Yep, November 9th. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to do that, man. And I'm working on my set list for that. Berserk's doing the same thing. Got a really dope feature coming up with a guy. He's the same artist that was on Lost and Loveless, Binks.
Nice.
I was on the phone with him today, and he called me and we set up another song that we're going to be doing together. So probably won't come out for a while, but because we already have one song sitting in the vault between the two, with us on it. So it's going to take a little bit for that to release, but it's going to be dope. And yeah, other than that, kids are good, family's good, wife's good, loving her new job, and life's good.
No, that's awesome, bro. I can't wait to see you on November 9th. Unfortunately, we were told we have to censor his music because it is kid friendly, and a lot of his music, if you listen to it, is not very kid friendly. So he has to go in and change some wording in some of his songs and stuff like that. But Rich threw out there, forgot to ask, September I did a 30-day suicide awareness challenge, posting daily. This month has been resilience. What do you believe November should be for as a challenge? I would say, since it's Thanksgiving, should be what you're thankful for. A 30-day challenge of what you're thankful for something each day that you're thankful for.
That's not
Yeah,
a bad idea.
That's a cool concept. I like that. Who started doing that? Did Rich do that?
Rich LaMonica, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So every day he posts something. So September he did suicide awareness. This month he's been doing resilience, and then now for November he's wanting to know what he should do. I'm thinking. I think you should do it on what you're thankful for, Rich. If you're still watching out there,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what I would do it on. Is what I'm thankful for. Because I'll probably join that with you.
I'll
If that's what
definitely do that.
So just post a video or post of what I'm thankful for each day. So I think
Starting November 1st.
Start November 1st. Yeah.
Okay. I'll hop on that train.
There
Spread
you
positivity in the world.
And then, so we started a new hashtag too. It's hashtag be someone stranger.
I think I've heard you use that before.
You have, yeah.
Yeah.
Rich says 30 days of gratitude. You can do that too, Rich. 30 days of gratitude.
I'm gonna pull from Travis's poking the bear comment, but be someone's stranger. Is that what you said?
Yes. Hashtag be someone stranger.
I think I know the concept for this, but it almost sounds like a stalker.
No. Definitely not stalker. I didn't get into explaining. So, on Homefront, we already say ask that next hard question.
Yes.
Right. So hashtag be someone stranger is like, for me, I won't talk to my wife and my kids about things that are going on internally within me because I'm the protector. I'm going to try to protect them from most of my demons. But I'll talk to a random stranger and tell them everything. I'll spill the beans. So when we say hashtag be someone stranger is be an ear for somebody that you don't know. So hashtag be someone stranger is where that came about. Just like if Mark, I know Mark, but I don't know him super personally. So if Mark had a problem, Mark can come up to me and say, "Hey man, I'm dealing with this," and I'll be his stranger. Or if Travis, who I know but I don't know, I can be his stranger, because 99% of the time we're going to talk to somebody that's not in our core circle, and we could be their stranger because we're going to open up a little bit easier. So hashtag be someone stranger is where that came from.
Got it.
So
I like that concept. I think I told you that last time too.
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I hadn't heard it. That's the first time I'd heard that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody that I've talked to about hashtag being someone stranger, and I explained it to them. They're like, "Dude, that's a really great concept." Because I know Mark liked it when he first heard it, and I think this is Travis's first time hearing it too. So, but hashtag be someone stranger, because as veterans or as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger other than the ones that we love the most about issues that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So hashtag be someone stranger. So
yeah, I think that's good too, because a lot of the times I feel like people do that. I know I'm not really ever one to shy away from talking to people. As you all know, I'm a social butterfly. But I mean, realistically, when it comes down to like actually talking about problems, I feel like people enjoy more talking to a stranger about stuff like that because it's non-judgmental and they can be unbiased, and they don't know anything about you except what you're telling them. Right. So it's like you're gonna get the best kind of advice and the best kind of words. I mean, maybe not the best advice. If you're talking to a crackhead on the side of the street, then you're probably not going to get the greatest advice. But if you talk to somebody that seems logically sound, you'd get an unbiased and non-judgmental point of view, and I think that's something that people are looking for, because I know it's very hard sometimes to talk to the people that we care about and that we love and who love us and care about us about our problems, because we don't want to worry them. We don't want to, make them feel bad for us, or we're not looking for sympathy or pity. Uh, and I feel like that's a big reason also why veterans don't talk about their problems too, because really, who else do we have to talk to besides each other? Um, I wouldn't want to tell my wife if I was struggling with something from my PTSD, or, because I don't want her to think that I'm losing it, or that there's something wrong with me, or worry that I'm going to, end my life at some point, which I, for the record, I would not do. But it's those things, you get people that develop these opinions and these points of view about you, and it almost feels like you're being judged.
Right. Right. No, I'm right there with you, my friend. I'm trying to download this friggin' flyer thing, and it not wanting to download because I was going to share it up here on the screen. So our concert, I'm going to give you some names of these bands that we got playing for this concert on November 9th.
Are me and Joey
and
the
we
only two hip hop artists?
Yes.
Okay.
You guys are the only two hip hop artists.
I'm gonna try and get some of these rock songs done before then, so I can incorporate a little bit of what people are there to listen to.
Well, the good thing is, we had Nappy Roots out here a little while back, and they did really good. I think
What?
once people hear you, yeah, Nappy Roots did really good out here.
That's
we had
awesome.
like 10,000 people. We had 10,000 people up there for Nappy Roots.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're huge. I love Nappy Roots.
Yeah. So here's the live music. So we got Carrie Grant. She is a bluesy kind of she's kind of blues rock. Then you got Nicholas Teal, who is a folk bluesy kind of guy. Then you got Darren Wood, Mark Conover, Crosswalks, which is Hippie Head from LRS. They are a Christian rock band. Then we got Van Walen, which is a mixture of two bands. So yeah, Theory, that's who's up on the screen right now. They're TC. That's a TC from Vet Nations, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Where is that?
In chat.
Oh, okay.
That's TC from Vet Nations.
Okay.
Then we got Requiem, Juke Joint Revival, Power Bank, Hard Road. We got Berserk and Theory, our two headliners. Super excited about that concert. I think it's going to be a friggin' great friggin' time.
Which, thank you for choosing us to headline, man. That's a huge honor. So
it made perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got some new stuff that I'm working on, man. I'm trying to keep it. I'll keep it kid friendly. I'll make my edited versions of stuff, and I'll try and choose some songs that aren't, because I don't think my music is like super, vulgar or anything. But at the same time, I do say cuss words in a lot of my songs. So I'll make a good set list with some kid friendly stuff, and I'll try and spice it up with a little bit of genre swapping, get some rock in there, and see what I can do about that.
Nice. So somebody made reference to you making a theme song for Tip of the Spear. I can't remember who said that. I said, well, he's already doing one for Homefront Sit Rep. I said, I might be able to ask him if he'll do one for Tip of the Spear as well. So,
I mean, I can always do it. I know that you asked me, and I'm still working on that. And then Brian Roof from Every Day is a Saturday asked me also, and TC has mentioned it a couple different times about wanting to have me do something for him. So I mean, I'm down to do it as long as I get kind of like an idea of what kind of sound you're looking for. I mean, hell, if you even want to use one of my songs, I'm totally okay with that as long as the rights are obviously legal
Yeah.
and able to be used. So if you like, if you want to use a certain song, if I made the beat, then I'm all game for it. But if I didn't make the production or anything, then unfortunately I don't know. I'd have to look at the contract of the lease for the instrumental, but I'm always down to do it. Yeah, absolutely. So if they want me to make one for Tip of the Spear, if you guys want me to do it, I'm down to do it. Just give me an idea of what you want.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Like I said, I'm no rush on mine. You know how I am about that. I'm not. I had to move my knee around. It was getting a little stiff underneath the table there. I'm no rush on mine. Mark, what's going on with you, buddy? You've been awful quiet up there, my friend.
I'm busy networking.
Nothing wrong with that. You have to network in this world nowadays.
Networking.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, do you want to recap what I said earlier? I mean,
If you wanna.
I wish we were on our platform because I could show you some great pictures of Travis Partington.
Oh yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
That was a good time, Mark. That was a really good
It was
time.
a good time. It was a good time. It was.
I'm hoping to do that in 2025 for certain.
I am tired of doing the one and done events that our veteran culture likes to do, and I don't know why we get stuck in that. I can tell you, we outgrew our undies, and we got too big too fast, and then we had to streamline, and then we had to say, well, this is what we do good, and then it's not any of the things that I want to do, and that's the part that sucks. We wanted to do more. We had many conversations with Travis, 3 years back about what we were going to do together, and it never came to fruition because of the amount of busyness this takes and the amount of time it takes and the trying to coordinate all the conversations. And I think our organizations need to be a little bit more selfless, and that's just, I'm going to put it out there. We got a lot of people wanting to gain their own thing, and that's muddying the waters. We got 56,000 organizations saying they're helping veterans and first responders. We got 6,000 veterans, 75,000, not 7,500. I'm sorry, 7,500 veterans last year committed suicide. That's 6,000 a year for the last 20 years. With 56,000 organizations, you would think we'd take a bite out of it. What I've ran into, and I mean, it is literally written in our bylaws that we're here to cut the fluff, and we want to have the tough and hard conversations with everybody. What are you doing, and what are you willing to sacrifice? Because we've got men and women that have sacrificed limbs, blood, and their lives to give us the opportunities to lay our big fat heads on the pillows of freedom every single day. And I'm passionate about it. I want to get it done, and we are working through the obstacle course, the confidence course of ourself right now. And it's my team will let you know that they get to hear it in the backside. We always portray this amazing, nothing's wrong portrayal on the front side. Kind of reminds me of a Jelly Roll's song, I'm Not Okay, because we do a good job of changing the narrative on the front end. And our veterans, that means our veterans are struggling. That means the ones that are looking for help can't see the beacon. They can't see the opportunity. They can't see the hope because we're too busy. I can't tell you how many people we get come on board and they want to just do the fun things. This isn't about having fun. This is about sinking your spurs in, digging in, and being uncomfortable, to be honest with you. Digging foxholes, I mean, you didn't want to dig foxholes. I mean, that, or battle holes, whatever they call them now. Sorry, I just kind of sprung that and got on my soapbox real quick, but I've told people I'm going to be more about the truth. It's got to be more about the truth. And let's grow. Let's grow.
So what exactly does your organization do for the veterans the people who work with your organization, work for it? What exactly do you guys do?
That's a great question. And the answer to the question is, what don't we do? if there is an ask, and that was something that our at the very beginning, our marketing and branding crew wanted us to say, okay, well, you need to find your niche. Are you just going to do PTSD? Are you going to just do military section? No. What we've done a great job of doing, and this is how I've met 3 of the 5 people on the platform so far, is we need to create a front of people with boots on the ground and a network where I don't have to refer anyone to another organization. What I get to do is I get to call Travis and say, hey, Travis, I got someone in your space that needs a hand. Are you available? And if you're not available, who is available? And we don't give phone numbers. We don't give web addresses or emails or anything. We do a direct contact. And literally from Minnesota, we have had calls all the way down into Florida where we've had a guy on the side of the road and he's ready to do his diligence in what he thinks is the right direction. And we literally get someone by his side within an hour. Now, I want it less than an hour or less of that time frame, but it was 48 minutes. And the whole time I'm watching my watch. I'm watching my phone to say, how long does it take to get someone there? And it was reaching out. And it is critical and crucial. If you have an ask, reach out. I mean, again, I'm not going to, I don't plug. So that's another thing. I'll be all over the place right now, Theory.
All good.
Every Sunday we have our We Got Your 6 at 6 patron playtime, and we bring boots on the ground organizations. I never, ever, ever wanted to do a podcast my entire life. Me and the majority of my board are school teachers. We create content every single day in our lives, and I did not want another space. So when we were getting the phone calls from people saying, hey, oh my gosh, you answered the phone. I'm like, well, yeah, who's not answering the phone? And we would get the list. And this goes back to Cut the Fluff. And I'm like, well, we got to put a stop to this. And so when that weird little nasally sneezy thing happened 4 or 5 years ago, was making everyone stay at home for a minute, we created a live stream because we're Zoomers. We're school teachers. We're Zooming on Friday night on an event called Virtual Happy Hour. The Patriot Virtual Happy Hour. And we would get on there and we'd have veterans come on and share what they're doing with, because the world was telling us we're all dying. The world was saying we'll never be the same. The news was telling us, you know what? Oh, this is the worst thing we will ever experience in life. And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, and again, I was just feeling who me is. Now, not everyone deals with the stuff the same way. And I get that. We all have different exposures. We all have different reactions to trauma. We all have different. It wasn't me. So I'm like, okay, let's be there. Well, we started inviting. I first invited a musician named Tony Turner out of Alabama onto our show. And he was playing Simple Man. And Simple Man's my anthem in life. And I'm like, Tony, come on. He came on. He sang. I'm going to let you know, 3 years later, we take him to Nashville, and he's up for a Josie Award. And I'm not saying we did that, but I'm saying we created the opportunities that helped him along the way. And we put him in the network, and we push it. Well, we also decided, well, I don't want to build content, so let's have Travis Partington and his crew come on and share, and other boots on the ground organizations come on and share, kind of what Willis is doing at the same time. And we just did it clear back in 2018, 2020. And so we're on episode 225 now. We do 2 shows a week, and we have WP3 Radio as well, which plays only veteran and first responder musicians. We have 190 some musicians now. We do a plug later, Theory. I don't do that on shows, so we'll talk.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll have to exchange contact information for sure.
I sent you some Facebook messaging somewhere or other time. Yeah. So when the ask comes across and we see the unique questions, answers, and questions, we put it in the network. And there has not been an ask that we have not covered. There have been some asks that we have vetted out because it doesn't quite fit our narrative and it doesn't quite fit. But we don't really, our narrative is, did you serve our country? Our narrative is, are you a loved one or a spouse or a child of someone who served this country? Because those ones are the glue that held us all together. They didn't ask me part of the mission. They didn't ask me part of the mission, and they are literally the ones that are making this thing. For our police officers, the wives, the spouses, the children of our police officers today don't know if their loved one's coming home that day. They are holding it together. I mean, you asked what do we do? The question literally is what we don't do. And I stand by the people that we work with. I've worked with Travis for a number of years now. Willis is in the network now. We're going to continue to build and grow. We work with a couple, I don't know, a year ago, someone on our podcast, I know who it was. It was Contagion Effect that we kept saying, let's go, let's go. And then eventually we just said, it's not let's go, let's grow. We need to grow. And grow on all levels, grow in education, grow in spirit, grow in, relationship, grow in network, we have to grow as a community. I mean, we got to grow. And I'm tired of not growing.
Well, I can't wait to grow with you in 2025, Marky Mark.
Man, Patriot Pride.
Patriot Pride, brother. And the next cigar is on me. I got to run. Carol Lee, good to see you. David, let's do this. Keep doing your PT in theory. You're more than just a well, you have to have a hypothesis to have a theory, right? Something like that.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. Talk to you guys later.
Good seeing you, Travis.
So I meant it more along the lines of like, do troubled veterans like call your organization and you reach out to have somebody help that troubled veteran kind of thing? Is that how it works?
It depends on the scenario. A lot of it, we have resources within our direct network that we can say, okay, this is how we'll accommodate it. Okay. If it's a piece that we don't have, we reach out. Over the 225 episodes we've done, we had another boots on the ground organization, but we're probably around a little bit over 400 organizations, because for the first 2 years after we started the podcast and live streaming, organizations were asking us to come into their space and live stream their events. And I want to do that. I would love to do that. And we were doing that.
Great way to get the word out.
Yeah. And we were just meeting organization after organization after organization. But again, this was where we outgrew our undies. We just couldn't facilitate. The great part is that airline we were talking about earlier kept effing up our flights. And so we flew for like 2 years straight without having to pay for any flights, so we could get into all these spaces. Yeah. The other part is half my crew is our school teachers. So we're really limited on the amount of time we can offer in the between August and June time. And I always max out my days, and I always take it in the shorts as well. When there are events that we need to be at, I will take those extra days, and I don't get paid for those, which is not a deal for me, but it doesn't necessarily help the organization. And we constantly bring our balance to zero. And I would rather help veterans and first responders than to fly down to Georgia and be at an event. And that's just what we say. You know, we're the local coordinator for Wreath Across America, and I've had the hard conversation with them. It is hard for me to invest a lot of money in wreaths when we have living memorials of men and women who have served who need help and support as well. Yeah. I don't do well with stone memorials. I don't do well with wreaths. I don't do well with flags. I do well with making sure we're taking care of our veterans and first responders that have signed the dotted line. And that's what I want to do.
That's awesome, man. I have a very high deal of respect for that. So much respect to you and your organization, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. We the People Patriots Project is also part of Heroes Media Group, and that's how I found out about them. And then I started following Mark and what those guys were doing, and that, they started following me, and we hadn't even talked yet. And it was just like, and then by the time we did get to sit down and have a conversation, we were like, oh, I wanted to reach out to you, and vice versa. And it just seemed to click when it was supposed to click. And they are very like-minded on what we want to do with, home front sit rep plus the tip of the spear, because there's so many different organizations out there. You got your good organizations, you got your piss poor organizations, and we want to be that Rolodex. If a veteran calls me up, say, hey man, I'm with this organization, but it's not working. I want to get into doing race car driving, or I want to get into writing music. I want to be able to look up in my phone. All right, let me get you connected with this person. I'm going to call them right now. I'm going to give them your information, and I'm going to have them call you. Or if not, put them on three-way at that same time. That way we can make sure they're connected. And that's kind of what, direct connections, because you and I both know if you come up to me, Theory, and say, hey, I need some help. And I was like, all right, well, you need to contact this person. You're going to procrastinate like I am, because I'm not going to cold call somebody. But if I sit there and say, hey, all right, Theory, I'm going to get you connected with this person. Hold on one second. I call that person say, hey, I got this guy that I need you to talk to, and I hand you the phone. Guess what? You're talking to that person right then and there. And that's what we need to do as veterans. And if you're a brick and mortar, here's one thing that really irks me. If you're a brick and mortar 501c3 out there, right? You got a veteran that walks in that front door, and you're sitting at the desk, everybody's sitting behind a glass window, and all of you turn up and look, and then turn around and go back to doing what you're doing, and nobody walks out there within 20 minutes to talk to said person, you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
Because if that veteran is thinking about committing suicide at that present moment in time, he walks into a brick and mortar, or she walks, I don't want to alienate, but if that veteran walks into that door and nobody's out there talking to him within 5 minutes, and they go out in their car and unalive themselves, who's in the wrong?
Well, and that's the problem. That's the problem, because, like, going back to the number 56,000, and we don't know how many calls this veteran has already made. And we also know many of our veterans and first responders aren't going to make a call in the first place, because they're at that level, they're at that space, they're at that time. So if a veteran, if a first responder has come up with the gumption to actually reach out to someone, you need to be prepared. And that's the frustration in this muddied, watered system that we've all created. Our hearts are all in the right spot. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for wanting to be part of continuing the mission. But if you are not ready and prepared, and you can't take the call, and you can't be available, then get the hell out of the way. You are part of the problem, not part of the solution right now. And there's many viable organizations that are ready to carry the load. Yeah, we got to. Yeah. Be selfless in this. Be selfless and say, you know what? Let's bond. Or Ryan Roman says let's lock shields. We have to lock shields, man. If you don't lock the shield, we're creating gaps. If there's gaps, then they're going to throw an arrow or a spear through that gap.
Yeah, I mean, I can, I couldn't even count on both my hands and both my feet how many times, not necessarily just a veteran, it's been veterans, but just friends, just civilian friends have called me, and they're just like, yo, I'm at this point in this crossroad right now, and I need you to talk me down. And I've legitimately had to, like, help, figuratively speaking, drag them off the ledge, so to speak. And it's a very difficult conversation to have, especially with somebody that and you don't really know what to say that's going to change their mind, because you don't know what they've heard before. You don't want to tell them the same old cliche like, oh, it's going to get better, because they done heard all that already, and it's a really rough conversation to have. But I've had that conversation with so many people. But I always tell people, I've never had somebody that's called me on that specific stage and actually done it, which I feel good about. But I tell all my friends, family, any stranger, I don't even care. That's why I like the be somebody's stranger thing. I tell anybody, I could know you for 2 minutes, and I'll tell you, if you ever need to talk, like, you can get in contact with me somehow, and I will figure out a way to talk with you, because I'd rather, it goes to the saying where I'd rather, I forget how it goes, but I'd rather see you something than be at your funeral or whatever it is.
I'd rather talk to you at 3:00 in the morning than read your obituary.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's that same concept, it's so sad, because I do know veterans personally who have, done that, and they've actually gone all the way and made it happen. And, granted that the circumstances weren't ideal. One veteran I know of, I'm not going to say their name, but one veteran I know of was deployed in Afghanistan, came back, and his wife had taken the kids and 90% of the stuff in their house, left them a note with a TV and a recliner, and said, "I'm taking the kids. I'll have divorce papers for you. This has been a long time coming, blah, 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 blah." He took that note, drove to this woman's mother's house, and he did that with a shotgun in his wife's mother's driveway.
Wow.
And it was just an awful thing that happened. And we got a brief about it the very next day, because I was active duty when that happened. And it was just so sad, and everybody's story is different and everybody's circumstances are different, but ultimately everybody's goal is the same, right? You want to try and make sure that they don't do what they're trying to do or what they're saying they're going to do, and that they actually are alive to see another day. And
Right.
if I can help in any other way just besides talking, then I'll do everything in my possible power to help people, no matter who you are.
No,
And
I love it.
if you've never been in that situation, having, people that people who are close to you, who have, as Willis says, unalived themselves, it is really difficult mentally and emotionally,
For sure.
because then you start thinking, could I have said something to them? What were the warning signs, et cetera, et cetera. But, and
All the what ifs start coming into play.
right. And I mean, I remember there was a family member would watch our children when they were very little and would put them on the bus at a certain time. And one day put him on the bus and then immediately went in and unalived himself right after he put my child on the bus. And right. And the thoughts of what were the signs and, just that whole thing, it really does get you thinking and trying to learn how you can help to prevent that kind of thing. So I am all for it. I am all for banding together and doing what I can to help. And I agree, Mark, that, putting those shields together, that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Build that
And
shield.
not just, not just as podcasters, but as human beings in general.
Yeah. All right, time for some closing statements, my friends. We've been on here 2 hours. Great show tonight. I want to thank everybody that came on, and the ones that we missed. We miss you guys. Can't wait for you guys to jump back on. But we're going to do some closing statements. We'll start with Mr. Mark Peterson first. Let's get you full screen.
I kind of feel like I've already done my closing statement with my little soapbox there, but we took it in the shorts recently with one of our guests who struggled with a suicide in his life, and after our show, it wasn't a ridicule, but you could tell that he was hurting a little bit, and he wanted to know what he had missed, and there might be a chance we don't miss a thing. It just is one of those pieces that we don't understand all of mankind, we don't understand all of womankind, and we don't understand where everyone's at any given moment. There's a little adage that I'd like to share when it's this young boy, he's going up and down the beach, and there's all these starfish out on the beach, and a little boy's picking up a starfish and he's throwing it back into the ocean. And there's thousands of them everywhere. And this old, wise old man comes up to him. He says, "Young man, you'll never make a difference." And the young man reaches down and picks up one more starfish and he throws it back into the ocean. He said, "You know what? I made a difference for that one."
Yeah.
We won't save them all, and we will miss some messages. But if you're not available, you're going to miss more, and we're going to lose more. Be available, be ready, be selfless, and be someone's stranger, as Mr. Willis likes to say. We are in control of our destiny, and I think we got it. I can't do this without you, and you can't do it without me. So let's go get it done.
Amen. Amen. I love it. Miss Carol Lee, you're up.
Well, I think this has been just a really good show tonight, and thank you again for having me here. But I do want to say, check in on your friends and family, and don't just ask the question, the basic questions, how are you? And accept, I'm doing great or I'm doing fine. You've got to really pay attention to how they say that and ask, are you really doing well? What have you done? Are you getting out? Just give them that feeling of really being heard and not just floating over any conversation with them. Really, really listen and be there for them. And that's how we get through this. So.
And I love it. I love it. All right, Mr. Ryan, aka Theory, you're up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, all that stuff that's been said by Mark and Carolee, it kind of goes the same with me. Just make sure to reach out to your people. Always check up on the ones you care about and the ones you love, and again, be someone's stranger. If somebody comes to you with a problem, do everything that you possibly can to help them and to hear them out, because you'll never know whose day you can turn around, and you'll never know what kind of position that person's in mentally to possibly make a difference. Just being nice to some stranger on the street could make a difference in their entire decision making. And I know that from experience. So, definitely check up with your people, be someone's stranger, hear people out, be compassionate, spread peace, love, and positivity always. And I said it before and I'll say it again. If anybody ever feels a need to talk, even just to BS around whatever, or if you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to me. If you need to get my contact info, you can reach out to David Willis or any of the guys that are on here. For the most part, everybody has my contact information. And if you're in the local area, come to the show November 9th and show some support. It's a good cause, and I'm blessed to be here. And follow Theory for the music.
No, I love it, brother. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, tonight was a great episode of Tip of the Spear Veterans Roundtable. The whole premise of the roundtable is so we can talk about anything and everything that's going on within the veteran community, the military community, and just what's going on globally within our community as humans. Don't really have to be just focused on veterans. And all three of them have stole my thunder. Hashtag be someone stranger. Hashtag ask the next hard question. Be the community that people can rely on. Don't say, "Oh, I'll take care of it," and don't take care of it. Be the community that people can rely on, because we've seen it way too many times with all of these veteran service organizations say, "Hey, I'm going to take care of that," and then they forget because they grown too big. They forgot about the reason why they started doing what they started. It's the veteran. And what keeps me up at night is missing that one veteran. I can sit here and talk with 20 or 30 veterans, and one veteran's going to come up and say, "Hey, what you said tonight really resonated But what I also got to think, what about the rest of the 20 that didn't come up and say, who did I resonate with that 20 as well? So always look and help that one veteran a day or one human a day. Don't have to be a veteran. One person a day, help one person a day. And it will come back in tenfold. I promise you that. So hashtag be someone stranger. Hashtag ask that next hard question. Because that's how we're going to eliminate the demons that are facing us today. So hashtag be someone stranger. And like we say always, stay safe out there. We got your six.